However, of course, in any situation, as you approach a situation, one of these archetypes is driving.
So no, you've spotted that. That is absolutely spot on.
But this session goes deeper than you've been able to see previously, because we're going to look at the range of archetypes, not just the two strongest. The power profile alone tells me how you go about things. And when you go into a meeting or a new situation, I know that those will be the top two drivers. But in a nutshell, that's it. The interesting thing then is how the rest of the profile plays out. So let's look at that now.
First of all, can I just check in? Does that fit? Does that make sense with you?
It's actually freakily accurate. Like really, really accurate. Actually couldn't be more accurate.
And it's really funny that I use these terminologies and this thinking, and then I'm reading this archetype which says queen, king, emperor, captain of industry, commanding, decisive, self-assured, securing their power, blah, 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 and takes responsibility of the people. It's just exactly what I do.
Right. So look, you've got an interesting profile there. Sage was definitely the strongest. Sovereign was not far behind. So quite simply, you're a guy who, when you come into a meeting, it's like, show me the facts. You know, what have we got? What are we dealing with? Show me the numbers. Show me what's real. Let's get the reality check. And then you say, right, how do we bring about control and order? How do we structure this thing and order this thing so that we're moving in the right direction?
Absolutely. I suppose it leaves me, my sage strength is as strong as it is in a room full of other sages. How do you stand out?
And that's why these sessions are absolutely key, is to understanding the fuller character. Where else are you strong or not so strong? And there's these two are so far ahead, like twice the strength of Jester, twice the strength of Lover compared to any of the other archetypes. So that's really interesting. And this is where just to throw in immediately, because of where the others are sitting, I would suggest that, there are times when you probably, as you're facing the requirements of business, that there are some of these characters that need to step up in order to see that through.
And so what I think you'll find then is, okay, so what is the benefit of the sovereign being stronger in your current situation right now is a great question. Could you answer that?
I imagine would give me a bit more organization with putting things together. I think I still feel a bit like I need to go and do a schedule for the week now, because there's a lot of things and they're not really so clear where they are, and so I can't be entirely sure how I'm going to plan my time yet.
First of all, you're looking at the big picture, the big vision, and saying, what's our direction? Where are we heading? Yeah. With that, there's immediately a sense of who are the people that are helping us with that. There's a sense of that team thing, what areas of responsibility are involved in this whole mix. What's our domain that we're operating in here? Very quickly, there are thoughts in your mind of, and where can we take this? So this is, I'm imagining something even better here. And that follows up very, very rapidly. Immediately following that, you can tell me in a minute whether this is making sense. Immediately following that, you are looking at the numbers. What's the reality of the situation? What do the numbers tell us? And then from that, you're already getting a sense that now we've put those things in place. Actually, I want to make this fun, and I want to make sure everybody's enjoying the journey as we go. After that, it's, and the people. Let's make sure that the people themselves are looked after, that they're doing what they love doing, that, we're caring and nurturing the team. And after all of that, it's like, right, let's get it done. Is that the sort of conversation that goes on in your head as you're approaching something new?
Like exactly the way that it followed on exactly that way. Exactly that way. And then it culminated in this client meeting where she said, clearly exactly what we're talking about now. We need to move forward with how this will work.
So it's really interesting to look at your archetype profile in the light of what you've now shared, because there are some dynamics there, and there's some language patterns that you're using in the description of yourself that do actually reflect these characters. So do you remember the power profile? What did you get as your power profile sort of response initially?
So yeah, it was a sovereign with a mystic kind of thing back up.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at how it's got left brain, right brain, and which ones are which. And the sovereign warrior left brain, which is much more logical, much more oriented around goals. And then the mystic jester, fairly strong as well, which makes a lot of sense as well. It's really interesting thinking, and it does kind of reflect my, I don't know, ideal of myself.
So you're first seeking to transform, to transcend and transform the current situation, to dream something new. The lover is there to say, yeah, and the people need to come with this, in this journey with me. And the jester is saying, guys, don't be too serious about stuff. But then once you've got all that in place, there is a very strong part of you which is still saying, okay, let's get real. Let's look at where we actually are. What have we actually got? What do the numbers tell us? What does the evidence tell us? So that we know what we're working with. And so it's interesting that that's not too far behind. I mean, it's an 8. All the others are actually over 9, which is super strong. But this is still up at the level of 8. It's interesting you use the word realm, and that is a perfect term for that area of responsibility that you hold inside, first of all, and then you action on the outside. So the bigger that realm is, the more of a sovereign you need to be, because you have a greater sense of responsibility for a domain, a kingdom almost.
And what I found really interesting about your archetypes and approaches is being able to call on different sort of characteristics in my personality to be able to help me cope better in those situations.
So this is where I hooked up with a former major from the SAS and asked him to be my mentor, because I wanted somebody who was the consummate. I just thought, well, if I need warrior, where do I go for warrior?
Brilliant.
military, okay, but why not go for the absolute top end of the game? And so, asked him, and he said, yeah, why not? It's like, okay, good. So I was warrior enough to push it through to the place where I got a warrior on my side.
What this really tells me is where my power is. And actually, as you say, when you're building things and when you are developing a team, what it's important to look at is the power and the strength of everybody in that team.
So there you have an insider's view of one of these signature impact consultations, where we understand all 6 archetypes and how they're impacting somebody's life, and how a shift and a change there could seriously help them to move significantly further forward in their chosen field. These archetype profiles will enable you to zero in on the specific character traits that you need to develop, or at least become aware of, in order to move forward without hindrances, without feeling stuck. This is where we diagnose and discover the hidden code to your unique personal strengths, the next step to your path to purpose and to profit. So I really do encourage you now to book your session with me online. teamme.com/impact gives you the details and the link. So go there now, book your session with me, and we will have an amazing time of unpacking who you really are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and defining a path to go forward, as well as giving you some of the tools there and then that you can pick up and utilize to create your signature impact.